So in this video, I'm going to be going over support and resistance, right? Support and resistance is basically one of the most important things when it comes to trading because it helps you determine which way the market may turn, right? Um, and so typically when I like to go over support and resistance, I always like to treat it as a multiple story building. All right. And I'm going to explain why. But I just want you to keep that in mind, support and resistance as a multiple story building. Okay. So what support and resistance is basically two levels. I'm going to use a line, two lines, but it's really two zones that the market uses and it rejects off of, right? And so your bottom, your floor, is your support. All right, it's your support. Your roof, your ceiling, that is your resistance. Now, the way I look at it is, let's say you have a ball. Let's say you have a bouncy ball. If you're to throw the ball at your ceiling, the ball typically comes back down, right? Typically comes back down. If you to throw the ball at your floor, it bounces back up. And so these are basically areas in which the market rejects. All right, so your resistance is at the top, it's your ceiling, it rejects and comes back down. Your support, it rejects and goes back up. Now, there will be times where the market breaks those, and I'll break those down, but I'm going to show you how in the market support and resistance works. All right, so let me delete this. Right here, we can see some support and some resistance, right? So your resistance will be at the top. Once again, support at the bottom. All right, and as you can see, the market rejects these levels multiple times where it get up there, tap it, reject it, tap down here, reject it, multiple times. And you can see that again over here, where the market rejected off of here and was rejecting this level down here. You also see it over here. And what you're going to also realize are a lot of these levels are going to be repeatedly used, right? So I can see over here, this resistance here was a resistance, and it was a resistance over here, and it was a resistance right here, right? Or a support right here was a support over here and over here. Now, this is where it gets a little different. And this is the reason why I said to think of it as a multiple story building. All right. So we see here that the market broke out of this level, right? It broke out of this level, broke above this resistance, and created a new resistance up here, right? Because this is an area where the market rejected, and it created a new support as well. So new supports and new resistances can form all the time. Now, something I do want you to notice is this over here was your support right here, right? This right here was your support. But once it broke below it, it then used this previous support as a resistance. So this is the reason why I said think of it as a multiple story building. Things that were once your resistance over here, rejecting, then becomes your new support. Just like if you go in a multiple story building, your old ceiling, if you go upstairs, your old ceiling is now below you and it's your new floor and you have a new resistance. So the same thing happens in the market where something that was your resistance over here became your support here, but then became your resistance again over here. right? These levels are going to be levels that we're interested in, especially once I get into teaching you guys trends, um, that we're going to be interested in to potentially find potential entries to either go up using the support or to go down using the resistance, right? Or even instances like this where it breaks a support and it uses that old support as a resistance, right? So that's how support and resistance works. I'm going to show you a clean drawing of basically what I was explaining without the candle. So you have, I'm going to move it down. So you have your support. Right? Then you have your resistance. So the market may be moving sideways, and when the market is moving sideways like this, where it's not breaking out of a resistance or support, this is called consolidation, right? When the market is moving sideways, it's called consolidation. Now, when the market breaks out and it starts doing this, we now have new levels that the market is using, right? And what was once your resistance over here is now your new support. And you have a new resistance. If it's to break back below, it can use that same level now as a resistance again. And you have a new support. And if it breaks below there, you potentially form a new support again. And now this old support is now a resistance, right? If you can understand this concept, trading is going to become super, super easy, right? If you can understand this in trends, you can become a profitable trader easily, right? It's not too complicated. Some people make it complicated, but if you can understand the basics, you can be a profitable trader, right? And so definitely practices, you can go on different time frames. The higher the time frame, the stronger the support and resistance levels are. All right. So if I'm on the 4-hour, these levels of support and resistance hold a lot more weight than 5-minute support and resistance. All right. Let's say I draw this out on the 5-minute, right? It's an area where the market was struggling to break out of, which is right here. If I look at the 4-hour, that's the smallest level, right? Where this looks like it's just the support of the 4-hour, honestly. But there's different levels of support and resistance. Like I said, the higher time frames hold a lot more weight, but all time frames do matter, right? Depending on which style of trading you're doing. If you plan on doing some quick trades, and you can use the lower time frame ones a little bit more. If you plan on holding those trades and trying to catch some bigger moves, you definitely have to pay attention to those larger time frames. But yeah, that's support and resistance. Like I said, practice it. Just go on a trading view, find those levels. You're gonna find levels that constantly reject certain levels. You're gonna see multiple levels be used multiple times, rejected multiple times, and those are the things that you want to pay attention to, right? Those are going to be the things you want to pay attention to, because those are going to be areas that you may be interested in finding some potential entries. Not saying you're going to enter just because it got to that level, but that can be part of one of your confirmations for your trading strategy.